Hello, Christian here, and I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know I say this at every episode, but today we have a really cool guest. One of the things chefs and hospitality professionals really struggle is what we call SAM. SAM stands for sales and marketing. So today we have an expert who's going to tell you how to make it happen and how not just to make it happen for yourself, but make it for the community as large. So we start right after this. Hello again. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. We have somebody here with us today who grew up in the East Coast. He knows exactly how beautiful the weather is here, but he couldn't stand it here, so he went to California, lives now in California. But what he's really good at is he helps owners of business run their business more effectively by reducing cost, systemizing the sales process, and make the companies more effective. So he calls himself a transforming strategic conversation coach, where he helps businesses with their insight, or with his insights, to help them increase sales. So as I read about it, I was like, we need to bring him onto the show because chefs really need to become better at sales and marketing, something we call SAM. They just need to date SAM. They need to marry SAM. And today, our conversation with Rob is going to be just that. So with that, Rob, welcome to the show. We're excited for you to be here today.
Thanks for having me.
So Rob, tell our audience and our listeners a little bit how you came to be in this industry, why you would leave the beautiful state of New York, and what do you do today to help businesses grow their business?
Well, leaving the state of New York wasn't my choice. I was 6 years old and my parents moved us to Arizona.
That's a good excuse.
We went from Buffalo to Tempe, Arizona, from the freezer to the frying pan. When people complain about weather here in Southern California, I'm like, no, it's beautiful weather all the time. And so I started my career. I'm going to date myself. My career selling classified advertising. It's when newspapers rely on classified ads to make a lot of money. Went up through my profession rather quickly, got to be the publisher of The Onion newspaper in Los Angeles. And I was like, this is it. I'm at top. I'm like, this isn't it. And so I said, what do I truly enjoy doing? And so I like making other businesses and people more successful. So I've been a fractional VP of sales for over 15 years now, before I even knew what a fractional VP of sales was. And I just really enjoy teaching people about sales. And the funny thing about it, Christian, is half the time when I tell them some stuff, they're like, that's easy. And it's like, yeah, it is, if you let it be.
I love that. So can you tell us a little bit more? What inspired you to pursue that career in sales?
You know something? If you'd have told me in college or high school that I would have a long, successful career in sales, I would be like, no, I don't want to do it, because I didn't know what sales was. And I think that's the biggest misconception. And that's one of the things I really want to get across to your audience, because of the fact that, like, oh, sales, ooh, I don't want to have to do this. No, all sales is having a productive conversation to see if there's a reason to work together. Mm-hmm. Sales is like the human body: 2 ears, 1 mouth. Ask a question, then listen to what they say. And so and the one thing about sales, which I think some of your chefs might have a hard time about, it's not about you, it's about them. Mm-hmm. And as long as you can always understand that, is how does this affect them? Then I think that's really going to get you where you need to go, and at least put you in the right mindset.
I love that. I love that. And I love the way you put it. It's about your customers and not you. So give us some tools. How can a chef make that pivot from, because we're so used to, telling, hey, this is my dish, this is my restaurant, this is my idea or my interpretation of something. How do you pivot from me to them?
Is everyone liking what you're cooking? Mm-hmm. If not that many people like it, then you need to play in the kitchen more. You need to have fun and come up with new recipes and explore and have fun and do what you originally became a chef for, is to be that creative person that's just going to get something that they're going to put in their mouth and they're going to be like, oh my God. And that's really, if you keep that mentality, again, it's not about you, it's about them. And you keep that mindset of, how can I create this better for them? How are they going to make it? How can they elevate this even that much more?
Mm-hmm. I love that. So thank you for that. And then I'm so fascinated with the whole idea of a fractional sales VP. And I'm not 100% sure if our audience really understands what a fractional VP is. So can you talk to us a little bit? What is the role of a fractional sales VP, and how would that benefit any kind of business?
Uh, I work with multiple businesses growing out their sales process, make sure they have a sales process that everyone follows the same process to get the same high end results. Fractional COOs have been around for decades.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
more executives are coming into the fractional space just because of the fact that what used to take me a week to do, I can now do in half a day. So I can
Yeah.
work with multiple teams, helping them make sure that they're on the right path, that they're using the right messaging. And that's the biggest thing that most people get wrong is they speak in their voice, not their customer's voice.
Hmm.
And and with chefs, it's a little bit difficult because they have a palate that I don't have. So, they're going to know more about, what makes sense to have together or not. So they need to find that balance. And I think that's the trickiest part for the chefs. Like, okay, I know what I make well, and I know why I make it, and I love making it. But is this for the general audience or is this just for a select group?
Hmm.
And you can have your business either way. You can do, basically a restaurant that reaches, it appeals to everybody out there. Or, heck, I'm in California, Beverly Hills. There's certain restaurants only taking those top-notch people.
Yeah.
So again, knowing your audience is another key thing. Who do you want to reach and why?
I love that. So can you kind of bring it into the food space a little bit? Do you think there's an opportunity for some fractional leadership within the hospitality industry, and what would that look like?
Yes, I think there's space for it. And especially as the chefs and the restaurant owners are like, okay, they know their business well, but they may not know sales. And
Hmm.
and again, when I teach it to people, they're always like, that's easy. I can do that. It's like, there you go. And it just makes it really simple. And again, some basic, simple concepts that everyone will be able to grasp. And it's just things that they've never been trained on that before. That
Hmm.
was not their area of expertise. So there's no, they shouldn't be worried about that. But if they bring somebody like me in that can sit there and say, okay, who are our customers? Where are we looking to grow? Where are we looking to, expand into? What's our price point? What's our wait staff like? What are they saying to the customers? Because the chefs aren't out talking to the customers; they're behind in the kitchen. So there needs to
Hmm.
be clear communication between the chefs and the wait staff.
I absolutely love that. And so let's make it a little bit more tactical. So, what methods do you currently employ to reduce costs while you say maintain and improving productivity and quality? Or what would that look like in the hospitality space?
And it's an interesting question, Christian, because there's not one way.
Yeah.
There's not. If there was one way to do it for everyone, I would have written that book and be a bazillionaire by now. There's not, because every restaurant's going to be a little bit different. The personalities are going to be different. What they're offering is going to be a little bit different. The quality is going to be different. So, when you're dealing with costs of, dealing with all of those, there's some basic, simple things you can look into place. I mean, your labor cost is one that you really have to take a look at, and that's just scheduling, and it's recognizing when you're having those flows of a lot of business and when it really dwindles off, and so therefore having a lot of people on when it's busy, and one or two on when it's off.
Um, for me, as we started diving a little bit deeper into your message and when you teach your clients, you have that analogy. If you increase sales, you increase profitability, you still have the same consistent product you put out there in the marketplace. It helps you to run your successful or your business a little bit more successful. And you always talk about that increased sales and having the productivity is the balance between running a business and spending time with your family. So where does this come in from, and where did you learn to keep that balance of running that successful business and spending time with your family?
Well, first, I'd address, just because you have more sales do not mean you're more profitable.
Hmm.
Unless you are set up properly, more sales can be a big problem if you don't
Yeah.
have the capacity to keep up with it. No. And it's one thing that I talk to every business owner that I work with. The first question to ask, are you scalable? And
Hmm.
they're like, what do you mean? I said, if I came in here, increased sales 200, 300, 400% and go, would you be able to do it? And, a lot of times they get excited. Say, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, but no, a
Yeah.
majority
Yeah.
of times they're not scalable.
Hmm.
And so that's the one thing that, you have to learn, and especially in a restaurant, because there's only so many hours that you're going to be cooking. There's only so many tables that you have. So
Yeah.
you have to really be strategic about how are we planning this? How are we getting the most out of every seat?
I really liked it, and you make it sound so simple. For you, sales seems so simple. Listen, the challenge we have in the hospitality space, sales is not being taught part of the culinary schools. And there's some marketing, but it's not real marketing. And sales and marketing has evolved over the years. So if you would be asked to come into a new restaurant, how would you, or what would your steps be to bring that chef on board to kind of make him see that sales and marketing is different than what he thinks it might be? And what are some of the tools you would teach him he can implement tomorrow to become better at sales and marketing?
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd sit down with him or her, whoever the chef is, and say, okay, what's your identity? What's your
Mhm.
brand? Who are you? What's important to you? Because really, it has to start with that. And if they haven't thought about that, that's the first thing they need to think about.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what is my brand? Who do I want to be? What am I providing? And then once you have that down, then you can actually start laying out the business plan a little bit more about, okay, how do we make sure that we get the most out of this? How do we make sure that every seat that's in the restaurant is making as much money as it possibly can? What are some additional things that we can offer that don't take away from the bottom line? Meaning, you don't want to put and this is a hard thing sometimes with restaurants is because
Yeah.
food costs. They are what they are, and
Hmm.
there's not much you can do about it. So you have to be really strategic about, okay, do we want to offer this product because the high cost of making it? Do we make enough margin on it to where it makes sense for us to have this in our business?
I love that, and that's so good, so good. So help me a little bit more. Do you? So the chef understands what it is to go out there and do sales. A lot of chefs will tell you, I don't like sales. That's not me.
Yeah,
I'm a creator. I create.
yeah.
I don't do sales. What do you tell somebody who says, I'm not a salesperson?
Yes, you are. You basically got someone to loan you money to go to school to be a chef. You
Hmm.
got someone to hire you. You got people to work with you. Yeah, whether you know it or not, that's all sales. So you're doing it already. You're just not. You're thinking of oh my God, I'm going out and making them buy things they don't need. That's not sales. Getting
Hmm.
people to buy stuff they don't need is called a con, and that's illegal in the United States. So don't do that.
It's only illegal if you get caught. If you only,
Yeah,
it's only illegal
exactly.
if you get caught. I love that because it is so true, and a lot of chefs, I think they're neatly good at it because they're good in bringing their sales staff or wait staff. Because I would say your wait staff is your sales staff, not just do they
Yeah.
help you sell the dishes you need them to sell. They help you have customers come back, and that's where, for me, real sales begin is getting repeat business back because
Yes.
that's money well spent. So, can you share with us a personal experience that shaped your approach on how you currently transform businesses?
As I said before, it's if there was one way to do it, I would have written that book. There's not just one way to do it. Every business is different. Every business is unique. I know I hate not giving a direct
Mhm.
answer to that, but if I did, I'd mislead you and mislead your audience, and that's not.
Yeah, I love that though because you've been you've been really successful in sales for a very long time, and that it's not just because you're a handsome guy, because you're good at what you do. And I honestly feel there's so many people which could benefit from just how you approach your day. How do you engage a customer? How do you make that cold outreach? Because that's what restaurants are not good at. They're good in the people when they come in the door, and they're not good at a cold outreach. Talk to us a little bit about that. How can they overcome that obstacles of, I seem desperate if I have that cold outreach?
Well, and I will say this about especially chefs. If they don't want to do sales, don't make them do sales.
Hmm.
Make the staff do it. Make the owners do it. Make the other people in the restaurant do it. Uh, it needs to be their messaging,
Hmm.
but it doesn't need to be their voice. And so if the chef doesn't like talking to people, and trust me, I have some friends who don't like talking to people.
Hmm.
They're just like that. I don't like talking. It's like, okay, you would not be in sales because that's what sales is talking with people. So I think you need to be a little bit more strategic about that too. It's like, okay, if the chef is just so dead set against it, fine. Who can take their place? Who can do this for them? But
Yeah, I love
the
that. I
messaging
love that.
still needs to come from the chef.
Hmm.
The ideas still need to come from the chef because it's their food.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So talk to me, what do you see out there in the marketplace? What are some misconception around sales? And what is one or two things you see people do wrong around sales all the time?
Easy. One of the biggest misconceptions of sales is a four-letter word. It's not. Sale, doing everything to get that one sale, that could be a four-letter word. But sales with an S on the end of it, it's an ongoing exchange of commerce. And so that's really what sales is. And the more people realize that and they go, oh, okay. And they don't take it as that, the S word. I mean, that's the name of the book I wrote. It's called The S Word, Sales, the Lifeblood of Your Business. Because that's what a lot of people thought of sales. I'm trying to get that change. It's like, no, sales is a really good thing. Even if you're not good at it, you should understand it. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't do is they try to speak in their voice, not their customer's voice.
No, I love that. And it's so true because sometimes I have a really good friend of mine, very successful restaurant, and his food has always been consistently great. And what made him pivot is he stepped out of marketing because he thought he was a great marketer. He just told him about, I got this fish here and this is how I'm gonna cook it um, versus some of the other things I think he's really good at. What he's really good at is making an atmosphere where when you walk in, you feel like you showed up at the right place and the food is just a confirmation that this is exactly what the place is. And they did some really funny marketing. So he started bringing Wagyu beef into the restaurant. And so he hired this outside company and they came in and it was the best thing ever. I always loved it. They, because it was really expensive and real, Wagyu beef. And then his marketing was, hey, your daughter's teeth are not that crooked. Treat yourself to a Wagyu beef. You know what? The roof only leaks when it rains. Treat yourself to a Wagyu beef. It was just totally unexpected, but he was who he is as a person because he's kind of quirky. And, and this guy did a really good job putting a marketing strategy around who he really is. It's not when he does marketing, when you meet him, he is this, like I said, this quirky, funny guy. He always has a one-liner. But when he talked about food, there was never him. And people always said, hey, maybe he's better off being in the back of the house, not talking about food. But they did a really good job. So over the years, you've probably seen sales evolving. How do you think, where is sales going in the future? And what part does AI or technology play in sales in the future, from your opinion?
Oh, now that's a big topic. Well, we go much longer than we have time for here. AI is coming. AI is going to be part of sales. They are regulating it, which they should. Because when somebody first was doing some AI calls for me, they went through 1,000 calls in 10 minutes and got, had me 30 appointments lined up. So it's there and it's working. The government got involved and said, you can't do that. That's spamming. We're not going to let you do that. So now they have to be connected with you in some way. They're connected on LinkedIn. Okay, then you can reach out to all those people. Yeah. So AI is going to be interesting, especially in the culinary. Now and the thing that kind of irks me a little bit is I don't like going into a restaurant, scanning a barcode and figuring out what I want to eat. If I'm going into a nice sit-down restaurant, I want somebody telling me, hey, listen, this is our special today. This is what we have. This is really good. Oh, this came out really, really good. The chef's doing great at that. But I see a lot of the business owners saying, well, that will streamline our costs and eliminate it. And yes, it will. But as long as your costs don't hurt your bottom line.
I'm in your camp. I do like technology, but sometimes I like looking at a paper menu. And for me, I'm really interested what my server is going to tell me. And we had this conversation just over the weekend. We have one restaurant in town, and they said, in the way we present our menu and they train the server, they do pre-meal, it needs to have three components. It needs to have what it is, why it is, and add a personal touch to it. I never heard of that. Absolutely love that. And they were saying, for an example, when they have a strip loin on, they're saying, you guys need to have the strip loin because when the chef makes it, he has this amazing way of preparing it. He has this special seasoning on it. And the personal thing is, it's so good, doesn't even tell me. And I'm his best friend. But when it comes out, it is amazing and everybody loves it. And they're doing a really amazing job. And it's really simple. Every time you walk in there, you get those three things. Now, where I know about it is different. But also what they're doing really, really well. He asked me that question, Christian, when was the last time you were in a restaurant? And I happened to be in St. Louis a week ago. He says, did you ask for the specials? I said, yes. He says, what does the first thing happen? I said, oh, what is the special? And do you have soup? Oh, let me find out. And the guy disappears. He was spot on. That's exactly what happens to me of all of the restaurants. He says, you just missed out of a sale. And he says, not just did you miss out of a sale, you missed out of an appetizer, which
Yep.
is the more profitable product than the main entree.
Yep.
Great, makes sense. And he says, the final thing is, what I tell my people and his wait staff. So he says he actually puts them on commission. So he says, if you sell XYZ at this, we do a competition. I give you $5, $10, and the winner gets $100 bill at the end of the night. Who sells the most of it? I absolutely love that. Not only does the staff really collaborate really well, and then when they come in and they say, hey, you know what? You might want to slow down because the chef has this amazing dessert. I want you to try tonight. And I don't want you to miss out a really great finish of a meal. So we can take this to go. And it's amazing how they do this. It's a fun place to go there just to see how they observe. And he said, where he learned this, he went to a sales training and he says, I went to this training. I totally screwed up. It said hospitality. I thought it was for hospitality. He says, it was not for hospitality. It was how to sell equipment to hospitals, and he says, I was sitting there. I didn't want to be embarrassed that I screwed up and I went to the wrong event. And he says, I cannot sit in there and be part of this. And they were saying selling equipment in hospitals is really critical because it's super expensive. You need to have 3 things. You need to have a personalized, and he's like, I think I can do this in my restaurant. And it's kind of the funny story when he talks about it, but it's so different when you go there. And they also tell you, hey, have this tonight. You know what? This is not the best seller tonight. I want you to have this fish or whatever. I love that. They're saying, hey, this is, if you're asking me personally, this is what I think you should do. And for me, I really love that. And with him telling me in St. Louis, that was a great example. Every single restaurant we went to, and I like soups. I'm a soup guy. I'm from Austria. We like soup. And every single person says, oh, let me check what we have today. Well, hey, what is your vegetable dish? Oh, let me ask, because we had one guy who traveled with us was vegan. So I absolutely love this and I see that. So for you on your daily basis, do you leverage technology in what you do currently and how do you leverage it?
Oh, yeah. As I said to you before, basically what used to take me a week to do, I can now do in half a day because I leverage technology. Basically, video chats, CRM systems, marketing systems. Yes, and I'm watching the AI stuff come out, and it's getting interesting. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be interesting to see how this grows.
Yeah, I try to stay on top of AI, and we have a publishing company, and now if you self-publish a book, Amazon is already asking you, is there AI involved in any way to do an outline or anything? You have to click on it, and then it asks you again. So they give you multiple options to say, hey, I used AI in some shape or form. So this tells me that within a very short period of time, Amazon is going to say, hey, you have to disclose that there's a AI used. Maybe they do an AI of book section. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But if they asking you already in the back of the house, something is coming. And then also I've seen around the technology space, especially in the healthcare, where they leverage AI, and what AI can do is absolutely mind-blowing. And I'm really excited about that. So Rob, you've been in this industry for so long. How do you stay inspired? How do you stay on trends? What do you do to have this not be a job, but you're really extremely good in this career?
It's funny you say that. I figured that out a couple decades ago when I was trying to do everything. Then finally I realized, why am I doing this? And then as I said to you before, I realized I want to make other businesses and people more successful. And what I came across was, how selfish of me is it that I can't go out there and help somebody's business not fail, business grow, their family and relationships are good because of what I'm helping them do, by how I'm helping them grow their business, by how I'm teaching them to be business owners and not self-employed. And what I mean by that is, if you're a business owner and you're working every day, all day, 10, 12 hours, you're not a business owner, you're self-employed. Granted, in the restaurant industry, some of that, especially when you're first starting out, when it's that one chef and the sous chef, that's what it is until you can get it going. But what I always want people to keep in mind is, how do we grow this and how do we change this and how do we get other people involved with it So it's not all my responsibility.
Yeah, I totally connect with that. It makes total sense. And for me, my very first restaurant, I was misled too. As I owned my very first restaurant and thought, oh, it's gonna be so easy. I don't do any work. I work more than I did. My job having my first restaurant. Lessons learned. So we still have a few restaurants today. So Rob, talk to me a little bit about where do you see some of the shortcomings of the industry of sales are, and let us peek a little bit behind the curtain on what is one or two habits you practice every single day which make you successful in what you do.
Answer my emails.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that don't answer the emails. I answer my emails, and I make sure that I have a schedule. So it's like, okay, I'm going to book some time. And on that schedule is
Yeah.
an hour of me time.
Hmm.
Because I think this is the one thing that a lot of people forget, especially in sales, is
Yeah.
you got to have some time for yourself. You got to take that moment to step back and go, wow, okay, this is where I am. This is where it's going. This is great. I'm excited. Because if you're just constantly in pushing, you'll burn yourself out. And
Yeah.
that's what I see sometimes some salespeople do is they just go, tooth and nail, going, and they burn themselves out. And it's like, well, yeah, you didn't take any me time.
Yeah. I love that. And you know what? Chefs are not good at me time. So I so sure we need to do a little bit more of that. So Rob, let us look a little bit behind the curtain more of you. So what do you do every day to knock it out of the park every day? What is a morning routine, or what sets you apart from some of your counterparts?
And again, going back to what I've been going back to all the time, there's not just one thing. It depends on the clients that I'm working with. It
Mhm.
depends on what the needs are. What
Mhm.
I do is not for doing for me, it's for doing it for my clients.
Yeah.
And so if my clients need me to jump on the phones and make some phone calls for them, I'll do that. If my clients
Mhm.
need me to sit down and go through their staff and teach them what to say and how to say it, I'll do that. So it really is about what the needs are out there, and that changes what I do every day.
Awesome. So what piece of advice would you have for somebody who wants to go into the industry you are in?
Don't take it so seriously.
Mhm.
Just go through, learn how to talk to people, learn how to listen, and learn how to respond. And
Yeah.
it's really, it sounds really simple and dumbed down, but it is if you let it be. And
Mhm.
that's the one thing that, I said throughout my book, it's like, it's not really that complicated. It's all common sense. But when common sense becomes common practice, that's when you find success.
Love that. That is so good. I will copy that. That's awesome. I really love that. So, Rob, talk to me a little bit about what is your plan for the next 6 months? What is your goal? What is something you're working on for yourself for the next 6 months?
Well, for my business, I'm looking to, add a few more fractional clients that I can get. I'm also a business coach. So I
Hmm.
might be doing business coaching, but I will only be doing group coaching. And actually, that might be a good coaching group is for restaurant owners. I'm
Hmm.
sure you already have them. So you know how well that works. Uh, and then really, I kind of want to get into the manufacturing
Hmm.
world. I've restructured a couple of manufacturing divisions and made them profitable. And what I see in that industry, kind of what I see in the hospitality spaces, there's people that are very passionate about what they do, but they don't always know the business side of it.
Love that. I absolutely love that. That's so true. And I think it's really needed in our industry. So I really appreciate this conversation. I just look at, we already have our, and I can talk to you forever because I think it's so crucial for chefs and hospitality professionals to understand more about how important sales is in not just their career and their business. I also love the way you laid it out that you want to work on your business, not in your business, so you don't have a job. I love the idea of you doing something coaching because there's probably a lot of things you have learned over the last few years, which could be super valuable to people coming into your program. So hopefully you do that, and we really appreciate it. So if people want to know more about Mr. Rob, where can people find more information about you?
LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. You type Rob Bedell, I'm the one that pops up. And so I use that on regular contact with clients and with new clients and prospects.
Awesome. So we have a category we call a rapid fire question, and my team just gave me 30 brand new questions. So if you don't mind, we're going to ask you five. But before
Okay.
we do the five, I want to know from your perspective, what does hospitality mean to you?
Again, kind of going, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but hospitality is about the people you serve, not about not about you. Because just as the hospitality, you're hospitable to the people that are coming in. I mean, that's all it is. It's like it's not about you, it's about them. And the more that they understand that you're making it about them, the more they're going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. So good. So good. And for our audience, if you haven't done so, make sure you like this episode. Make sure you save it. If you have somebody in your circle which can benefit from this conversation, learning more about sales, make sure you send them to that. And if you haven't done so, go to disruptivechef.club, join our private community. We would love to have you and be part of the front row seat on all the things we do as an organization. So with that, we going into rapid fire question. So Rob, how this works is we gonna ask you a number between 1 and 30. You give us the number, we ask you the question, and then we let you repeat the answer. Don't think about it, come straight in, and what comes to mind first off. Let's get to know a little bit more about Rob. So Rob, give me a number between 1 and 30.
21.
21 is a good one. So what is the biggest challenge you think the culinary industry faces today?
Lack of consistency across the industry.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. Question number 2. Give me a number between 1 and 30.
3.
3. If there is one dish you have always been asked to make for your family, what is it and why?
It's my French toast, because I have a special recipe for it. I'm a big breakfast guy. My girlfriend loves dinner and all that stuff. I'm a big breakfast guy. So my French toast, the way I make it, people always eat it. They're like, "What'd you do to this?"
That's awesome. Our office here, we bake breakfast people. We had breakfast this morning. Love that. A number between 1 and 30.
We'll go with 7.
7. If there's one cuisine that needs to go away tomorrow, what is it and why?
I'd say street dogs. It's just because they're so bad for you. They're so good, but they're so bad for you.
There's a whole culture very upset with you right now.
And I hope they get my joke about it. Is it should go away because it's so good that it's bad for you.
Hey, if you go to New York, you need to have a street dog. You want to boost your immune system, because if you can handle a New York street dog, you got it. Okay, 2 more questions. Give me a number between 1 and 30.
Go with 17.
17. Oh, what is your favorite food to prepare? That doesn't count because you're going to say French toast. So I'm going to take the next question. What is your favorite way to use leftovers?
Creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that my girlfriend's much better than I am at, but she can take leftovers and just make a completely different dish with it. And, but she's teaching me how to be creative like that. And so then say, oh, okay, now we had this used over here. Now we're moving it over here and we're adding these 3 things to it. That's just it. And again, cooking, that's part of the fun, is getting creative.
Love that. Okay, last question. Number between 1 and 30.
All right, we'll say 28.
28. Oh, what is your favorite food-related book and why?
I don't have one. I don't read a lot of cooking books or food books.
Okay, what you really meant to say was mine, For the Love of Austria, which is my book of giving back to my country. It's my love letter to Austria. So thank you for loving my book. So Rob,
all right,
I really appreciate you being here today. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Just be ready to open your mind. If you think you know everything, you don't. I don't know everything. I'm learning something every day, every week, every month, every year. And if you keep that creative mindset of how can I do this better? What can I do that makes this easier? How can I cut my costs? How can I increase my profits? You still may struggle from time to time, but you go further than anyone else that's not doing that.
I absolutely love that, and it couldn't be more true than it is in the hospitality industry. So with that, Rob, I want to say thank you for being here today. Thanks for the gift of your time. Thanks for calling in from California. I know the weather is terrible out there. And also thank you for sharing so freely of your experience with sales and how hospitality can leverage that. So I want to say thanks again for being here. And to our listener, until next time, remember, disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, your disruptive chef, entrepreneur, host. Me and Rob us signing off. We are out of here. So with that, I want to say thank you, and be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. Until our next episode, goddamn be disruptive, everybody. Rob, thanks again for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.